And go, yeah. So, yes, also the guys in the back there. And wait for our panel. Yeah, because these people here made their time, to share all their knowledge with you guys. So in this panel, we're going to try to do like a bit of an interactional thing where you guys are going to ask questions. And not just one person, but maybe some more people. So I would like to start off with just an applause for these guys being on the panel. And yes, if you want to sit, you can sit. Or you can, maybe we just keep standing. That's maybe better. Keep standing. We all keep standing. Yeah, so we'll start off with a little introduction, and I'll start with myself. So as I told, I'm a Dutch entrepreneur. I came to Canada 2 years ago because I just had a dream of living in this place once in my life. And I basically got connected to Bitcoin, blockchain technology 3 years ago when I started doing some trading in Litecoin and started doing some mining with Litecoin. And that's from that moment on I've kept really being interested. And coming here, I started a company called Meet Me, where we connect consumers to local farms for ethically raised sustainable meats. So basically an online marketplace for good meat, sustainable meats. And I'm still, as an entrepreneur, looking at this blockchain technology and thinking, okay, should I really apply this technology or not? It builds trust. I need to build trust, in this meat industry, and obviously I can reduce friction. But it's for me difficult to see is it really a use case or not. So with this panel, I'd like to sort of get a grip also for entrepreneurs in the room. What are the opportunities, and how can you reduce friction and build trust? So let's start with a little 30-second introduction of each of you, and we'll take it from there. And I'd like to know 30 seconds who you are, and then also how you first got involved in blockchain technology.
Let me come here.
Yeah.
Let's just walk down. Hey, so hi, I'm Bob Summerwell. I have been sort of at the heart of the Ethereum ecosystem for the last 2.5 years. I got to meet Vitalik Buterin here in Vancouver in 2014, before the foundation even started. Later, I was in Toronto, took advantage of going to a bunch of meetups there. It was really happening. I basically found my way into the Ethereum Foundation. I was there for a good while, and then I have spent the last year working at Consensus, setting up the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. So I was the vice chair of the tech steering committee there, and now it's the largest blockchain consortium in the world, over 200 companies, Microsoft, Intel, Samsung. So quite a difference from being in the decentral, down in the cellar 3 years ago. Anyway, that's me.
We're just doing differently. Good, like us. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Saju Abraham. I'm the Chief Product Officer at RightMesh. We're based in Maple Ridge. RightMesh is a mobile mesh networking platform that can connect users, people, and devices together directly without the need of any centralized infrastructure. We use the Ethereum blockchain to manage the network, as well as to incentivize participants on the network with tokens in a peer-to-peer sharing economy. So my first foray into blockchain was about 2.5 years ago when I started reading about it. What really got me interested was the promise that it could fulfill with mobile peer-to-peer payments, which was one of the unique use cases that we wanted to fulfill, not knowing at that point what peer-to-peer really meant. And so I had as an action item that I wanted to learn more about blockchain, and that was just an action item for a very long time. But I got into it again about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, when we needed to solve a very unique problem for RightMesh in the way that we needed to generate a unique identity for every person on the node, every device on the node, without going through some centralized infrastructure. Ethereum provided that solution for us, and so we got started with Ethereum in a small way. And then after that, knowing and understanding more about the blockchain and the benefits that it can provide in a decentralized system and the incentivization structures that come along with it, it really provided that missing piece in our entire puzzle, which just made our platform much more better. And so fell in the hole after that, still falling and still learning.
Nice. Yes, Peter.
Good afternoon, everyone. This looks like the Hunger Games. Everyone's just standing for tribute. It's hard from this audience not to laugh a little bit. I got too many sisters. Pardon the head down. So my name is Peter Smirniotis. I'm a managing partner and director of Victory Square Technologies. Mark, what's up? And so just want to say that we are an investment firm that specializes in a variety of activities, including blockchain. We also do venture build for tech companies at large. My first exposure to blockchain was in 2011. I had a friend of mine building a blockchain initiative. He did not do such a great job, but at the same point, he paid me in Bitcoin. I nearly dragged him into the street and killed his ass, but I ended up keeping the coins. It seemed to have worked out well. That's it.
Hi everyone, my name is Yvonne and I'm here for Abe, involved in the ICO of Abe, so come and talk to me or Couch later after the conference. So I first got interested in blockchain technology because I was working as for an investment firm, and we invest in technologies that are disruptive and are able to contribute to the construction of a smart city. So anything that will make the world better, that will make people's lives better. And that was what we are doing, just doing a lot of private equity funding for those companies. And then after that, I came across multiple really good blockchain startups. And the idea is to combine artificial intelligence with blockchain technology. And could you imagine, with blockchain technology, we're able to have facts, we're able to have data verified by a decentralized platform. And with artificial intelligence and machine learning on it, then we can begin to process and find usage for these accurate data points. This is what Abe is trying to do. We're a voice-controlled crypto assistant, trading assistant, that brings together all different points of information onto one single application platform. And that is what we think is going to be necessary for the world in the future if anybody is going to be interested in getting involved in this crypto space. We need better education, we need accurate information, and we need to simplify our lives and understand what really is happening and not just a hype of what is really going on in this space. So that's about me.
Hi everyone, my name's Alex. I'm from Coin Payments Incorporated. We're a Vancouver-based crypto company that started in 2014. We accept 80 different cryptocurrencies. We're probably one of the largest altcoin payment processors on the planet now as it stands. I got interested in cryptocurrency back in 2011. I heard about it first in 2010. In 2011, I was looking for a VPN service, and I saw like a really interesting write-up. It was basically saying that you can't pay for a VPN with a credit card, otherwise it takes out all the anonymity out of the fact that you're actually using VPN because you're submitting your name and all the information to it, so it's kind of useless. And they were suggesting you pay with Bitcoin, and as the second time I heard about it, and I actually saw a use case for it, so I got really interested in it and never really looked back. After that, we kind of started a mining operation where we're selling coincable.com, where we're selling cables to all the miners, getting them made in China and then shipping them to North America and getting people to basically mine, GPU mine at that time. And then ASICs came about. We switched our focus on coin payments and been pretty happy we did that. And just a little bit of our company. Coin Payments basically is a plugin system that allows you to accept payments in 80 different cryptocurrencies. So you know about Bitcoin, Ethereum, like some people talking about, but there's plethora of all the other coins. So what we do is we allow people to add our system to their website, and then constantly on our end, we will add all the new coins that actually make sense, so you don't have to actually keep up with the market anymore. So as you're using us, you're always accepting the newest coin that's probably has high enough liquidity for people to actually use and pay with. So we kind of simplify that whole process for people. And on the back end, we have wallet solutions and exchange process as well, so you can convert to whatever you want to hold. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so I'd like to maybe invite a couple of these guys up to talk about exactly how they reduce friction and build trust with their solutions. And I'd like you guys to think about, okay, do you really need the blockchain for that? Like, challenge these guys with like, can it be done a different way? And why does it really need the blockchain? Because I feel like a lot of companies and ICOs, they talk about blockchain and it's like nice, they try to fit it in somewhere, but is it really necessary? So Sajay, I'd like to start with you. And then after, when he's shared some stuff, you guys can ask questions, so prepare your questions.
Okay, so why do we think blockchain is disruptive, and the whole topic being less friction, more trust? So I mentioned a little bit of what RightMesh is, and it's like a mesh networking platform. We started on this project about 3 years ago, and our mission right from the very beginning has been to take a step towards reducing the digital divide. It has always been about connecting the next billion. The idea behind our project actually stemmed from our development team who live in Bangladesh, and they had big connectivity challenges. They still do, but when we first met them, they had very severe connectivity challenges, a lot of which we take for granted on this side of the world. So that has been our mission from day one. Yet, you know, at the beginning, if you were here for the morning, there was a lot of good discussion about identity. And identity is probably one of the key issues that blockchain can really solve. Providing a single platform where you can consolidate multiple identity kind of aspects onto a single platform. But we also have to remember that there's about 2 billion people in the world that don't have any identity today. They have no identity documents that can actually verify who they are. And so that's a big problem. There is an interesting device that these people have, and that's the smartphone or the mobile phone. So 60% of this unbanked population do have access to a mobile phone. And so now that mobile phone can be a vehicle to provide a blockchain-based identity solution. So that based on trust, based on reputation, there are a number of interesting projects already out there like Humanic and BankQ that are working on this problem. But once you provide that, once you provide a vehicle, a blockchain-based solution that can help a person establish who they are and for other people to verify their identity, then they have access to capital. They have access to capital systems, they have access to credit, they have access to banking systems. Without that, actually it's not even this, they lack even basic human rights such as voting, such as basic healthcare. So that's a big problem, resolving identity. Once you get those systems in place, then you can start thinking about other interesting models as well, such as microfinancing. So microfinancing is not new. It's a concept that was pioneered by Dr. Mohammed Yunus from the Grameen Bank. The problem with microfinancing, though, and why it was never taken off, though the intentions were very noble, was that it was quite expensive. The servicing costs, the originating costs of getting a micro loan was so expensive that the interest rates were so high on those micro loans, which makes it very inaccessible to the people who need it. You put that system on a blockchain today, which can help in the verification, can help in the updating. It's interesting that you're talking about AI, because you bring AI and data analytics into play. That really reduces your operational costs. It reduces your originating costs and makes those loans much more affordable to the people who actually need it. It's a way of empowering individuals, empowering communities, alleviating poverty. And so that's one way of reducing costs.
Yeah, wrap it up a little bit, because I think now it's time for some people to ask a question about this. Who wants to challenge this guy with their business and ask a question?
I'll add one more thing, and then feel free to ask. I'll wrap it up here. The point that I'm making, when you're looking at another point, let's say, for example, foreign aid or humanitarian aid, the big problem in that also today is fraud, corruption, mismanagement, and so those are also costs that makes it very inaccessible to the users. And so what blockchain provides is a way of reducing these costs. It provides a way of making these services more accessible to users. What we're doing with RightMesh, I think there's a second problem, is connectivity. And we're trying to make connectivity much more accessible to the users who actually need it by reducing those costs and making it transparent on the blockchain. So with that, I can...
So I had a question in the back there. Yeah.
Yeah, so can everyone hear me properly?
Yes.
So what about the role of governments? Because I know, governments will intervene because they need to tax their residents. So all the problems you said with identity, India addressed with the Aadhaar program, where all the unbanked were basically then Aadhaar numbers given to all of them. They made it an open API called India Stack, and that interfaces with all the banking and all the systems. I'm all for a blockchain identity, but if governments don't get on board, that means you have, unregulated identity.
No, absolutely.
Right?
I think you're absolutely right. I think India is a good example of having a identity system in place with their, I forget the name of what the system that they're working on.
It's Aadhaar.
Aadhaar system. And in fact, actually, the think tank of the government of India is actually thinking of using blockchain. So I think it's very encouraging that they are thinking of systems, because the problem with it right now, it is centralized and the security is not there, but they are adopting it. So I think it is encouraging that they are thinking of blockchain to have those identity solutions in place. That would be a good example for a lot of the rest of the world.
Yeah, I think the two of them are a perfect pair. If you put Aadhaar on blockchain, you're good to go.
Yes, let's move on and get Yvonne upstairs here, or upstage. Sorry, upstairs. That's my Dutch, right? And share a little bit about how you reduce friction and build trust with what you do. And she's all the way come all the way from New York here, so it's like it's good. It's a good effort she made. And yeah, so please share, and then please please challenge her on that.
Okay, just a quick question. How many of you here, so before I ask this question, I did a research on Vancouver, and I was trying to find that one event when everyone will show up and will bring the whole city together. And I came across UBC football game. So I assume that everyone here watches soccer. Whitecaps? Okay, great. So the idea is, I think that in the future, what is this tokenization and what is ICO and what is cryptocurrency? It's going to be something that has to do with utilization. So imagine going into a concert or, say, watching a soccer game from Liverpool. It resolves the problem of trust, where today you're going to buy a token for Liverpool, for example, with the right to attend one of their soccer matches in time to come. So you're basically putting that amount of money on the custodian of Liverpool fan club, for instance. And what's so different and what's so revolutionary about this is that money that is currently being invested in Liverpool fan club, they can now use that money to invest in better players today. So the quality of the match that you're going to be looking at, you're going to be watching, is going to be better. So you are personally invested in the growth and development of this particular company. And that is revolutionary, because by having that trust established of you thinking that Liverpool is going to be doing well in time to come, and you're going to be interested in watching that competition, in watching that soccer game, you are investing today in a token that they have to issue. So this is going to be the future of, I think this is going to be the right, accurate standing point of where cryptocurrency is going to be in the time to come. It's not going to be something that is revolutionary to the point where it will overtake the entire financial industry. Neither is it going to be something that is so insignificant like what some of the industry players are talking about. So if you want to have a good, accurate understanding, I think in the next 2 to 5 years, this is going to happen. What we do is that we create a market for you to be able to trade on these tokens when you are willing. For instance, if the football match competition, if the tickets of the game goes up or goes down, you're able to trade, sell them, or to monetize them. I think that's what we need. So there is 2 different layers of exchanges going on. One is the old financial markets, which is still here to come, where you put your savings with the banks and you're growing them at a passive rate. You're getting a 5% or 3% on your bonds or underlying. And the second layer would be a utility token, where you are like going to a grocery store and you have their tokens and you're invested with them and you're going to spend it on them. And today they're able to invest that money that you have deposited with them on improving their goods and services. So this creates an incentivizing, I'm out of time. So this creates an incentive system. This creates an incentive system for that business to grow and to develop better products for consumers. And I think that this is the core value. Decreasing doubts in the market increasing trust, and aligning the interests of a consumer and a business, because they are now looking towards improving and providing better products and services for the world. This is the power of cryptocurrency.
Who's got something to say on that? Like, you know, do we really truly need like blockchain technology to do these kind of trades? Like, although they are cryptocurrency trades, do you really need that technology for that?
Yep, we do need that. What if you bought, say, Starbucks gift card today, and Starbucks does not exist anymore a year from now? So you need trust. You need them to recognize that you're the rightful owner to purchase their product, and you need that on the open ledger so that the public can participate in this verification process. And they need to trust you as well. So both parties have to trust each other, and that's what the decentralization happens.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to move on to Bob. Share a little bit about what he does and how he reduces friction and builds trust. And take it away, Bob.
Hey everyone. So I've just started a new job. I've been doing it about a month now. I joined a company called Sweetbridge. So I basically dropped my work at Consensus and the EEA, even though those are vastly important and brilliant and interesting projects, working for the best boss I've ever worked for, because I saw something even better, and that is Sweetbridge. So what Sweetbridge is doing is looking to address what the World Bank has described as the #1 issue for world trade, which is systemic inequality of access to credit. So if you hear, next billion people with internet access, it is a fantastic enabling thing. You basically got, the knowledge of humanity in your hands, but it doesn't let you run a business. And then the next step is, bank the unbanked, Bitcoin for Africa. It's going to solve everything. It's not going to solve everything, because that's not the problem. There's cash economies, there's M-Pesa, there's all sorts of things. It maybe lets you be a customer, but it doesn't let you run a business, because running a business, you need capital, you need working capital. You have this systemic issue where the multinationals at the top of the chain have got the best access to credit that you could imagine, but they don't use it. They just say, hey, can we have, we're Starbucks, can I order £1 million of beans, please? And you've somehow got to finance that. And down the chain and down the chain, and at the edges of the supply chain around the world, the people actually, growing the crops, making the things, running the factories, they don't have access to bank accounts, to credit, to mortgages, to business loans. You're basically going to a loan shark to get $50 to buy some seeds. Anyway, by the power of Grayskull, we have a solution, which is tokenization. So the world's supply chains are 2/3 of the world's economy. It's $54 trillion a year, touching 3 billion people. You get outside your little geekosphere, which is the blockchain, into, finance is that big, supply chain's that big. It's everything physical in the world. And lots of those areas, tech's hardly touched it at all. It's, paper things and correlation and just writing things down by hand and, just myriad systems that are unconnected. Anyway.
But isn't it really expensive to capture that supply chain on the blockchain?
Lots of things are expensive in the world. Automating things is not expensive. Vitalik Buterin has said that perhaps for Ethereum, there never is a killer app, but instead what you have is an almost infinitely long tail of business process optimization and automation opportunities. That there are innumerous, back office setups which are just grossly inefficient, and they are now, technically redundant. Anyway, what Sweetbridge are doing is we're going to solve that. And the way that's going to be solved is through tokenization and through legally enforceable smart contracts using arbitration. So arbitration is legally binding in 150 jurisdictions around the world. Project called Materium, which Vinay Gupta is running. He's one of the advisors at Sweetbridge. So the solution to this is going to be engaging with real-world major law firms to say, hey, can you basically write template versions of all existing contracts, all existing asset classes, all jurisdictions, paperless office it all up. And then the mechanism is digitally sign, those contracts, pair them with a smart contract that's actually tracking the transactions. So, you've got a house on your blockchain, you're just moving the token around. And the question's always been, well, that's nice and all, but is the person going to move out of the house? Does that mean anything? Is it just, is this just a game? Arbitration is the answer to that. You can build this internet of agreements, of smart contracts between businesses, between individuals, where the participants agree in case of dispute. It will go to arbitration. It will go to a blockchain arbitration association who will make a decision. They take that to a local court. Boom, done. It's your house, it's their house. So on that basis, we can free up trillions of dollars worth of illiquid assets. If you have anything of value, that can be tokenized. You can put your phone at risk, your house, orders coming in, pledges of future work, anything. And that liquidity is going to flow to the people that don't have it. And we're going to have an equitable world market of millions of small businesses interacting in a voluntary network of value exchange.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. New world economy.
Sounds great. Who's got a response to this? Like, who wants to challenge this a little bit? Yes, in the back there. Please take your mic. Yeah.
Oh, is that going? Do you think we've effectively front-run with the speculation on the token prices? Have we front-run these very well-meaning utopian bank the unbanked cases out of viability?
No. I think we're going to see a pattern very like .com era. Loads of bubbles, loads of rubbish. Most of it's a scam. You're going to get some gems. And 10 years down the line, you are going to have, world-known companies which have arisen in this era. Most of it's going to zero, though.
All right. From here, I'd like to pass on to Peter. As a VC, he's obviously seeing a lot of these, these blockchain companies, and I'd like to learn from him, how he reduces friction and builds trust, but also where you see the biggest opportunities in the space from real blockchain companies, and which we might not think about. So maybe you can inspire us a little bit and get the entrepreneurs in the room, give them some direction where to hunt for the next business.
I'll do it again. That's maybe working. Can everyone hear me from this? That should be pretty okay. Let's try this. So just to answer your question, a little addendum to what you shared. Mostly agree with what you said. To kind of tie this all together, the original question is, where does frictionless application of blockchain provide inherent value where blockchain itself is a defensible position? Why would you deploy it when you could deploy anything else? So one of the investment portfolio companies we have is called Blockchain Technology Limited. And BTL deploys our technology to solve this practical problem. Anyone go to a doctor, get a prescription, anyone hear of prescription theft? Prescription theft accounts for, in the UK, anywhere between 7 to 11 million pounds a quarter of theft. They ran a pilot. Doctor signs a blockchain-enabled script, goes to a pharmacist. It's tagged, it's facilitated, it's on a blockchain that is auditable by the government, by the pharmaceutical companies that issued the inventory. That is an application of blockchain that is defensible and innovative. Another application of blockchain that we're seeing that provides inherent scope, there's a company I'd like to invest in called Axony, AXONI, and Axony is part of the R3 consortium for financial organizations. Why do you care? Anyone operate in capital markets or private equity, if you're working with derivatives and futures, any sort of tools in the financial space, fundamentally, when you look at blockchain, blockchain is a database. and databases need to improve. Fundamentally, we've been looking at rows and columns for about 45 years, and we're looking at it as a centralized system. I was just in Hong Kong, met with the director of Oracle's VP Southeast Asia. He's like, man, you guys are all having a lot of fun building blockchain. I was like, yep. He's like, we do not give a shit. We are building blockchain as a service. And I was like, game on. Blockchain as a service interests me. Why am I inventing 1,500 types of blockchains with all these capabilities when the world's best tech company in database technology wants to extend that courtesy? And I'm not saying they'll get it right. I'm saying that it's great to see them enter the fray and provide value and kind of legitimize the space. So who takes advantage of Oracle databases? Anywhere you see an enterprise-grade database in finance, in healthcare, in pharmacy, you're going to see blockchain roll in. Why? The mechanisms from auditing trails, and auditing is a big part of the business. So if you have businesses that provide circumscription like reviews, if they provide auditing capabilities for government or private agencies, if you're an environmental health agency and you're thinking, the fat on the steak's going to stay where it is, it's not. Everyone's got to innovate and think their way through this because blockchain's coming for your business. 1988 to 2004, there was a $6 trillion market cap creation in tech. And there was a whole bunch of people making a whole lot of money. But before that, there was no Expedia. And now we just buy online. We just went through this boom, right? Everyone's got a smartphone on their desk. The phone's not the innovation. The App Store is the innovation. We got to look for things that aren't there. So the comment I was sharing with my partner in crime here earlier was that 30% of what we've seen it was my guess, we've only seen 30% of what blockchain can do. The stuff that is yet to be invented hasn't shown up yet, and that's okay. So there's a lot of money to be made, a lot of innovation to provide inherent value to both commercial and public sector, and for social endeavors as well, whether it's oversight, governance. Two interesting applications of blockchain that I would suggest you pay attention to. You've heard of securities, you're obviously aware of utilities. Utilities, I recommend personally, not representing VST, but I certainly recommend if it looks like Canadian Tire dollars money, don't invest in it, right? If you can only redeem it for one thing or one agency, but if it's part of an ecosystem and a partner network, now you've got something of inherent value. Concurrently, assets. I mean, Burrard's, Howe, a couple blocks that way. So assets are interesting. Why would you want to use asset-backed coins? Asset-backed coins are very interesting. Practical applications beyond assets would also include things like water, desalination. We want to track water. Well, you can't really measure the ocean and the atmosphere, but every bucket of water that comes out of a desalination plant, I can tokenize that, and I can track it, and I can see where it goes. You want to make this, you want to donate water out to the sub-Saharan Africa nations, you can do that. You want to track it and sell it, you can do that too. You're worried about Nestle taking too much of our water in BC, you can watch them as well. There are a lot of practical applications to this, and that's just a big paintbrush. That's all.
Wow. Any questions on this?
I'd say it's a lot less than 30% that we've seen.
Awesome. I will respect that. Fair. You had a question? Going once, going twice, no deal.
Yes. Alex, maybe you can also share how you reduce friction and build trust, and where you see like the most interesting opportunities
Sure.
with blockchain technology. Thanks.
Sounds good. Well, in order to explain that, I got to explain kind of what we do a little bit better. So we're a centralized platform. So it's kind of everything we're talking about right now here is decentralized. But what we do is a centralized platform that allows you to accept all these different cryptocurrencies, right, and trade them and store them and transact in them and do all kinds of things with them that are pretty cool. However, the reason why we built it and kind of went with the whole centralized model in the decentralized space is that a lot of it is really complicated for an average person, and we're not really targeting the technology nerds who understand how to program everything in their own in their own APIs and things like that. And you're welcome to do that. It's more secure, of course. But we're targeting like moms and pops, and my mom can use my system, so that means that works for me, right? I want to explain it to the dummies, sort of quote unquote, of the space, right? So they're able to store and transact in cryptocurrencies without having to install the wallet and tie it to their website to accept payments. It's pretty complicated for an average person. So that said, our target audience is average person, and that's why decentralized solution in this case works better. What we're doing to expand right now and to help more people is trying to figure out what are the problems that are out there right now. So the problems are there's a lot of different coins, and a lot of people can't decide which ones to hold, which ones to accept. So we kind of took that out and made it our business to help them decide and add the coins that are necessary right now in the market to accept for their goods and services. The other problem is
How do you do that?
How do we do that? So we just add them to our centralized system, and once it's integrated to our system, you're able to store them on our system, you're able to convert them to other coins that are on our system, and then also accept payments from your store in those coins.
But how do you decide which coins you accept?
Oh, right, sorry. So we have two methods to do it. So we have a public vote. We were actually one of the earlier companies that started doing that back in the day, where we basically allow people to vote every month on the coin that they want, and they suggest coins every day, basically. And then whichever one wins, we usually add the top 3 or top 5, depending on how much space we have on our servers. And over time, in the 90 days that we usually give them, if there's no transactions, if there's no volume, if there's no real life applications of this coin other than just speculation on the exchanges, which is kind of weird. Side note to that, we get to see some cool things. On our end, we get to see coins that are actually being used. You see coins on the exchange that are just pumping, right? They're doing 200, 300% in like a day sometimes. And then you have 0 transaction in 90 days on that coin for merchants. So you just short it or sell it, right? So it kind of helps you with some stuff.
So where did you see like the most transaction happening in the last 3 months?
Yeah, so Ethereum is taking off hugely. Ethereum Classic is doing really well. Dashcoin, Monero. Bitcoin's obviously still king. I don't think it's going to change. Bitcoin Cash is actually really picking up now in transaction volume. But I'd say top 10, that would be it, including Dogecoin. I don't know why. I just don't understand that one.
Funny about you.
Yeah, I know, but it's people actually transact it quite a bit, and always have, and even I just don't get it. But that's one of those good examples. Yeah, that's right, the dog face. But that's one of the cool things about our platform. Like, we get to add these coins because there's actually usability. So we're kind of unbiased with all these coins, and we try to be. So when the users vote it in, we add it on, it sticks around, it has volume, we keep it on. So then that's added to our portfolio of what people can trade and use and accept payments in. And then we kept thinking, like, Bob was saying earlier, Bitcoin in Africa is not really going to solve the problem because it's hard to get, right? You have to go buy it, you have to have internet and all those other things. So what we're doing now, and that's kind of like announcing what we're doing in 2018 a little bit, but we're adding one-click GPU and CPU mining right on our site, so that basically people who live in those countries who have a phone, because most of them do, can actually charge it at night and just click mine, and our app will just mine whatever coin that's more profitable, and they can convert it into whatever they want and automatically, or keep it in that for long store value and speculate. But it will allow people like my mom, again, because that's, like I said, that's who we're targeting. We're targeting people who are not savvy, who don't understand this economy, don't understand how to participate, don't know how to install like an actual mining software and connect their rig. So it's not going to be as efficient, but we're not going for that. So what we're doing is, imagine you go to your computer, you type in coinpayments.net, you go in our supported coins, and you pick a coin, click mine, and it mines in your browser, the computer that you're on right now, and it stores it right into your wallet. So that allows anybody now to start mining without any issues. And then those coins can be mined in those coins or converted into Bitcoin or whatever else you want, because the conversion tools still apply, right? So we're trying to do that to help get these digital currencies into the hands of people who normally wouldn't have a chance to get them. So that's kind of another thing that we're trying to do and help and build it out. We're not really looking to be a company that sells Bitcoin or trades in it or an exchange that allows fiat settlements, because from day one, our logic was, in the future, you won't need to do that, so why do it anyway? So we let Coinbase and BitPay do that. They're doing a great job. A bunch of other companies do that well. That's not what we want to do. We want to focus on being a transfer agent of cryptocurrencies that are already in the ecosystem and simplify and help people with that.
Okay. Anyone want to respond to this? Yes. Yeah.
Hey, Alex, how's it going? So my question is, some of the tokens that you are allowing on your platform, are they strictly utility tokens or securities? And if so, if there's any securities that make you into a money transmitter? I know you accept Syscoin, which is a coin that I developed, and that's a utility token.
Yeah.
But I also know that you have some that are securities. So can you shed some light on that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So with securities, I mean, we're a digital wallet, right? And like I say, if you think about a transfer agent for stocks or things like that, right, essentially that's what we do. So if you have a utility token, that's pretty easy. We can let you convert, we let you send and receive and take payments in. But then with the rise of all these ICOs and all these tokenized coins that are basically somewhat securities, depending on how you look at it, some of them violate that, some don't. What we do for those coins is we're allowed just storage of those coins. So you can use it just as a wallet, but we don't let you necessarily trade them because it's such a gray area right now, so we don't want to take liability. And I know Shapeshift and Eric Werkes made that decision like a few months ago, and we followed footsteps with them, like kind of did the same thing. So it's just a wallet. So if you have it, you invested into it and you want to store it on our system because, like I said, with one email and password, you have access to 80 wallets. I would personally recommend it to everybody who's savvy to actually use our wallet to store coins on it. It's not really what our system's designed for, because it's always better to have your own cold storage, obviously. But in some cases, it's not practical. So some people use it for simplicity and ease of access. So then we allow them to just store it. Yeah.
It's quite a business model. Are you going public?
I'm literally asked that question 10 times a day, but I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. Not sure.
Sounds like a yes. Yes, I think we got 5 minutes left. I'd like to sort of look at, like, obviously the blockchain technology is going to disrupt markets, right? So, and like let's think about it when it comes close to us. Like, what's going to happen? Which industry in Canada basically is going to be disrupted by big blockchain technology first? And I'd like to get some perspective on that from the panelists. So, where are we going to feel this thing happening? In our daily lives and in Canada. So, who wants to make a first stab at this?
We're a country full of commodities. It's going to be commodities. In the spirit of good faith and a little bit of good humor, my money's on maple syrup. We will be containerizing, tokenizing maple syrup. We will be shipping it. I don't know if you tried to buy Canadian maple syrup outside of Canada. It's a lot of money. So, true story. That's my guess, but fundamentally commodities. You're going to see it deployed for all sorts of aspects. If Can4 and Inter4 aren't working on this right now, they're smoke.
Interesting. Who's next? Yeah.
So healthcare is going to be something that is, they are getting a lot of money right now. They are getting a lot of funding, and they're a longer pipeline, but there are going to be some pretty interesting things going on in the healthcare industry. And another thing that I've been looking at recently is in the transportation industry. I think that in order for this technology to be fully implemented, people have to start using something, have to be using a product or using a service. And if you think about what does a human being need in their life, it's food, shelter, transportation, and clothing. So basically, transportation is a big part, and a lot of the cities, a lot of the states within the US are looking to revamp or basically to decentralize their transportation system into a sharing economy. So that is something that is really growing very rapidly in San Francisco, Pittsburgh, in a lot of the different cities around the world.
Right.
So I'd like to say the communication networks and the ISPs, well, I work for that space too, but in the blockchain, nobody has given a lot of thought to communication and networking. It has mostly been around processing and storage. However, in the last few weeks, there's been a very interesting little debate that you probably all have heard of in the US called net neutrality, and how that is planning to be repealed. And hopefully that does not happen, but if that does happen, then that's going to definitely bring more awareness about how our networks need to evolve. I mean, all of us in the room have devices right now, powerful enough to create our own networks. It's just historically they have not been that way. We have to start thinking about how new networks can be formed, how we all can be incentivized with the token system, how that can be decentralized. So I'm hoping there will be give more thought. I don't know if it's going to be the first industry, but I hope there will be a much more thought and attention given to how we need to redefine our networks.
Nice. Bob?
So yeah, I mean, I'd agree with all of those. I think.
Can only one can be first, right? So.
Well, it's supply chain then. But I mean, the one it won't be is finance, because Canada's really slow and backward with finance always.
I think we're going to see more hardware and bandwidth tokenizations, and I totally agree. The mesh networks and the phones and the devices that we have are all completely capable of running the internet right now, fully decentralized. We just don't have anybody really working on it. Well, MateSafe's working on it. There's Golem Project, and there's a couple other ones. I'd say MateSafe probably has further ahead than anyone else, but I kind of don't like some of the directions they're taking. But in a nutshell, I think that's the most important thing considering with net neutrality and everything else. Because if you think about net neutrality, if they will start blocking all the services, and we don't have a backup network, it's going to be a big problem. So all these tokenizations of pre-ICO, or pre-IPO ICOs and all this other stuff just for, basically financial money going around, right? It's great and it's making a lot of money, but we have a real problem on our hands, and I think that's what's going to be addressed in the next few years, and I think that's should be the most aggressive thing that we're working on right now. That's my opinion.
And recently in Catalonia, IPFS was used to work around the Spanish blockade, where they took down the websites for voting locations and things. So IPFS, decentralized storage, was used to work around that. Censorship resistance needed even in Europe apparently now.
No, I think it's very inspiring to hear all these ideas, and I was hoping actually for banking, because as a European coming in this country, for me to make an electronic transfer to somebody, having to think about like a question to ask to actually send some money over, it like drives me nuts every time I do it. And so I get frustrated by banking every day, especially if I get close to it or walk into a bank. But okay, I have to be patient, of course. But I think we're almost out of time. It's actually running into like a sort of a little break. But I'm not sure whether there's any final questions, if people want to ask somebody a specific question. There's a little bit of an opportunity, I think, here. And a 1, and a 2. No, then I would say, yeah, the 1 at the back.
Has anybody encountered anyone attempting to disrupt the real estate industries?
Yes.
There's multiple projects doing that.
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit more about how it works? And
I cannot. I'm under NDA, so I will not.
okay. Then I would like to end off like with a standing ovation, of course. So we're going all stand up again and give these guys a big applause. Thanks.